And Dr. Paul, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm fantastic. It's just a great day. I'm so excited to be talking with you on your podcast. And this is the first episode of your podcast. So we wanted the audience and the listeners to kind of get a behind the scenes look of what this is all about and why they should be listening. Because in this podcast, you're going to be talking to lots of different people. You're going to be doing some interviews of some pretty interesting people that live in and work in the Danbury area, maybe
Yeah,
some outside of that.
that's right. Yeah, mostly people from the general Danbury vicinity. I plan to interview not only health professionals but other local businesses that are involved in people living a healthy lifestyle in the Danbury area.
That's awesome. It's going to be great. And we're going to learn a lot about different aspects of Danbury and why it's really a great place to live and how to have better health, obviously, because that's part of what you do. But as we get in there, I thought it'd be really fun to start this whole series off with a little bit of background information about you. So can you give us kind of a snapshot of what I would call a Reader's Digest version, right, of who you are and how in the world did you get to do what you do today? Give us some color.
All right. Well, my profession is podiatry, which is a specialist in foot and ankle problems. I got interested in feet as a patient. Actually, when I was in high school, I had a foot injury that a good foot doctor was able to solve for me. So it impressed me when I was looking at careers during college. So, I went down the path of treating people's feet. So that was, I've been doing it for about 27 years now. I started practicing in Manhattan, in New York City for about 20 years. And we decided to move up to the Connecticut area about 20 years ago. And we found the Danbury area. And we've been living here since, raised my children here. They've grown up and graduated college. And my son's just finished medical school himself. So he's in his residency program. So we're almost empty nesters now. My daughter's living back at home for temporarily till she finds a career.
Yep. Very cool.
And that's it. I now practice up here in Danbury exclusively for the past 7 years or so.
Okay.
So my focus is on not only the foot and ankle problems, but I have a passion for health and wellness myself. So I would like to share that with the audience as well.
That's good. That's great. Give us a peek behind the scenes of your family. Married, how many kids? What was your? Let's start there. Then I want to dive a little bit back into your background just to give us some flavor of who you are. So let's talk about your immediate family.
All right. Well, I've been married for almost 30 years now to my wife, Ellen. I have 2 children, Matthew and Liliana, and a dog and a cat.
There you go. Gotta have.
Like I said, they're grown ups already. So
yeah, isn't it amazing?
Right.
But parenting never stops. So there you go.
And
you guys have been in Danbury for how many years now? You say about?
We live in the next town over Ridgefield, which is, and we've been there about 20 years now.
Okay. Well, let's talk about some, we know a little bit about your family. What are some favorite things that you guys like to do as a family in and around the Danbury area?
Well, I like doing outdoor activities, a lot of open spaces in the area. It's a nice, semi-rural area. And so there's a lot of open space to explore, a lot of lakes and ponds for fishing and boating. So we like to do that.
Cool. Get outside, and hopefully there are some walking trails and different things. Just to being outside is a big deal. It's part of health, right? We need to be out moving and out getting that vitamin D and things.
Correct.
Yeah. Tell us, if somebody comes to Danbury who's never been there before, that'd be me. What's like one thing that I need to see in Danbury? What's kind of an iconic aspect of Danbury?
Well, the thing that I like the most is the lake that's nearby. It's called Candlewood Lake. It's pretty large. hydroelectric lake, man-made, but it's very nice for boating, fishing, and swimming. It's great for the summer times.
Okay. And that's another aspect of health that sometimes we don't think about, because when I think of health, I always think like exercise and taking walks, which is all great. I think for health, for me, a lot of times it's being out by a lake, maybe on a boat, just relaxing and letting my body just chill out.
Yeah, be in the moment, get one with nature, and listen to
Yeah.
the birds and lapping of the water. It's great.
Yes, it is great. I love being around a fountain or a river and just that sound and the birds. I love early mornings with birds and things. So that's all part of health. And I know that's one of the centralities of you, is that you're really passionate about health in a variety of ways, not just when it comes to feet and ankle. And I think too many times people will pigeonhole different doctors at different ways, right? So, well, you're just a foot doctor. That's all you know. No, you're about the whole body, because I've had a foot injury, right? A sprained ankle and things, and it affects everything, and it affects your mind. And so when you're working with somebody, you're really helping them holistically think about how to have better health overall, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, I kind of look at it as helping people live healthy lives from the ground up.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. Well, and that kind of leads us into this next question is, why are you called the foot book doctor?
Well, it's sort of like this. I'm a foot doctor, obviously, but I also give away copies of Dr. Seuss's The Foot Book to our young patients as a gift to welcome them to our practice and put them at ease when they're here. And I'm also in the process of writing my own book on the subject of podiatry for the general public, and I'm going to title it The Foot Book as well.
That's awesome. So you are going to follow in the steps of Dr. Seuss and be the author of the Foot Book. I love that. Because you're really, as you're creating this book, which I think is fascinating that you would do that. It's really a step-by-step guide to healthy feet and a happy life. And
yeah, that's what we like to call it.
Yeah. And I think that's great, because it's information that the public probably doesn't know. And you're stepping out and saying, and just giving them a peek behind the curtain of not just your industry, but some of the aspects of health as it relates to foot and ankle, and what types of things do you do, right? I think, gosh, I don't know.
I have a lot of people who, I tell them, that we do a certain thing and say, oh, I didn't know podiatrists did that. I'm constantly, trying to explain to people what we do. And even when I'm not talking to patients, when I'm talking to somebody in the general public, and I say I'm a podiatrist, and they say, well, do you treat children? I said, yes, but I'm not a pediatrician. I treat children's feet. But,
well, and I think that's great that you've got that specific aspect of what you do, because you're an expert at that part of the body, obviously, but it affects everything else. And it even broader than that is we're talking about the health of the whole body, the whole person, but having a happy life. Because I know when I had a foot issue or even a back issue, it affects everything of life. And you're really about helping people enjoy life. That's part of why you've written the book, but it's also part of why you're doing this podcast. So let's turn the corner just a little bit. And what should people expect as they think about listening to this podcast on an ongoing basis? What are some of the things you're going to be talking about?
Well, I think at the beginning, we're going to go through some of the chapters in my book and explain some of the things I do as a healthcare professional. Again, giving people a peek behind the scenes at the profession of podiatry. But then we're going to branch out into interviews, fun, brief interviews with other local professionals and non-professionals concerning areas of health and wellness and living well in the greater Danbury area.
That's great. I'm looking forward to some episodes. I can just see you now actually talking to like somebody at the park and recreation department, talking about events that might be coming up at different aspects, or golly, even school events and things. There's just so many things that are happening there that tie into wellness. And
Sure.
too many times we think wellness is just our physical bodies, right? It's how do we live life in a community? Speaking of communities, do you have like a favorite restaurant or anything you guys go to?
Yeah, our favorite restaurant is Venice Restaurant in Ridgefield. It's a nice family Italian restaurant. They have really great food, good prices, large portions. So it's a great family stop.
That's awesome. That's awesome. There are always those little restaurants that whenever my family travel, we always try to, stop. We try not to go to the chain restaurants that
Mhm.
are all over and find places like that, because you usually get a better meal, great
Yeah,
service, and a wonderful, wonderful experience. So
yeah. There are fancier restaurants, but their food is really worth the trip there.
that's good. That's good. Well, you're going to, as you listen to this podcast, you're going to learn a lot of great information, not just about feet and ankles, but about your body, about health, and about how to live a happy life, and some secrets, probably some unrevealed secrets of Danbury and the Danbury area, some people that you may never hear from. I think Dr. Paul is going to be able to uncover them for you, have some fun interviews, and really talk about how to have a great life and live well in the Danbury area. So, Dr. Paul, I think this is a great way to start your podcast. I know you're going to do some fun interviews, provide a lot of information for people. And I just want to say, I think it's really cool that you give out Dr. Seuss's foot book to children to really put them at ease, because going to the doctor when you're a kid, even if you're a teenager, can be kind of unsettling. That's a fun way to put people at ease. So that's really cool. And we'll look forward to hearing more from you as you get your book published, which is called The Foot Book by
There you
Dr.
go.
Paul Betschart, the Foot Book Doctor. So, Dr. Paul, thanks for taking some time to start this inaugural episode of your podcast. And I know there are going to be a lot more to come.
All right. Well, thanks, William. Thanks for interviewing me. It was a pleasure.
You are quite welcome. It's going to be a fun podcast. So stick around, and we'll talk to you at the next episode.
Okay.